The daytime froze. It all started during recess. Just as the clock struck noon, Ben and his friends, Mia and Carlos, were waiting in line for the swings when everything went still. The birds in mid-flight hung frozen like statues, and the school bell had stopped halfway through its ding-dong. Even the breeze seemed to be on pause, leaving a paper airplane stuck in the air beside them. Guys?" Ben said, poking at the paper airplane, which didn't budge. "Did we just enter the time freeze zone?" Mia, the smart one of the group, squinted her eyes. "This is strange, like in a movie. Everyone's frozen but us." Carlos looked around in amazement. "So, that means we can do anything?" They exchanged looks and, as if by silent agreement, took off running to explore this new, still world. The classroom freeze framed their first stop. The classroom, of course. They dashed inside to find their teacher, Mrs. Murphy, mid-sentence at the chalkboard, her finger stuck in a half-drawn letter A. Ben chuckled. "What do you think would happen if we finished that letter for her?" With mischievous grins, they each grabbed a piece of chalk and turned her A into a giant, wobbly alien with antennas and 3 eyes. Then they turned to their classmates, frozen with their hands up in the middle of answering questions. "Oh, let's give everyone mustaches," Mia suggested, grabbing some chalk. In minutes, every kid had a fabulous, silly mustache scribbled on their faces. The trio stood back, admiring their work. "This is the best art class ever," Carlos said, high-fiving the others. The cafeteria conquest next, they zoomed down to the cafeteria, where lunch was set out on tables, waiting for hungry students. The spaghetti was piled high, and the mashed potatoes were sitting in perfect mounds, untouched. Time freeze means endless seconds for food fights, Ben declared, launching a spoonful of mashed potatoes into the air. They threw mashed potatoes, spaghetti, and Jell-O cubes, laughing until they couldn't stand up. Mia sculpted a mini castle out of the peas, adding a marshmallow flag at the top. Then, they spotted the tray of chocolate milk. "Imagine all the chocolate milk we can drink before time starts again," said Carlos, grabbing a carton. After chugging 3 cartons each, they decided it was time to move on. They left the cafeteria covered in food and laughing, eager to see what other adventures awaited them in this paused world. The great museum adventure finally, they wandered into the local museum, where the exhibits seemed even more mysterious in the frozen silence. A towering dinosaur skeleton loomed over them, jaws wide open. Ben took out his scarf and draped it around the T-Rex's neck. "Look, a stylish dinosaur." They climbed on exhibits, high-fived statues, and even wore the ancient knight armor for a mock sword fight. Then, they spotted a replica of a giant clock with its hands perfectly still. "What if we're the time kids?" Mia wondered aloud. "What if we're the ones meant to fix time?" Ben and Carlos looked at each other. "But how? We don't know how to fix time." "Maybe all we have to do is do something nice," suggested Mia thoughtfully. "Like in fairy tales where kindness breaks the spell." A frozen farewell, they raced back to the school, wondering how they could leave a message of kindness in a frozen world. Finally, they decided to gather every flower they could find in the school garden, piling them up to spell out, "Thank you," in big letters on the playground for their teachers and friends to see when time returned. Just as they finished placing the last flower, a faint tick-tock sound started up again. The clock on the wall was ticking, the birds flapped back into the air, and Mrs. Murphy's voice continued exactly where it had left off. The kids watched as their classmates rubbed their eyes, wondering about the chalk mustaches, and the cafeteria ladies gawked at the food-flinging chaos. No one knew what had happened, except for Ben, Mia, and Carlos, who shared a secret smile. As they headed back to class, Ben whispered, "Best adventure ever." Carlos grinned. "Think we'll get another time freeze?" Mia shrugged, smiling mysteriously. "Maybe. Someday."